Welcome to another edition of the CivBattleRoyale. My name is Dawkinzz, and this is episode 17. We didn't start the fire. I think that's like 5 episodes in a row that have to do with fire. As empires fall and others grow, one thing's for certain on this episode of the CBRX. Things will burn. Starting on turn 246, let's get right into this. Ladies and gentlemen of the sub, welcome back to the hectic world of the cylinder, in which wars are rife and no city is safe from a good old-fashioned razing. I will be your narrator today, user Nightman, and will hopefully guide you through the nearly 20 turns that this part covers. Our intro original content this week comes from user Staunch Boat Mormon and displays the unfortunate fate of Poverty Point and the citadels from hell. Our first map of the cylinder is this lovely hand-drawn map by user Varia. This is personally my favorite map just because of how pretty it is. And this is the Spore map for you, which came in extremely handy when narrating this part, especially because it's very hard to keep up with the hectic wars going on right now. And you'll never believe it, but this week's power rankings, and unsurprisingly, go to Uruguay, and they're at the top. I feel like a comment underneath the power rankings post sums up my feelings towards Uruguay. Uruguay is definitely number 1, but people keep acting like they're all but guaranteed to win. A million things could change between now and the endgame. Thanks, Paddy Wagon Man. Pets ablaze. We open this part on turn 245 to the site of the Sami vs. Muscovy War. Toro Pets, the cylinder's city-wide version of Neopets, has been captured by the Sami and, like so many cities these days, has been lit ablaze. While there are many Muscovy units nearby, they all seem to be focusing on the hard-to-pronounce city of Arjeplurve. South American seaside resort. Venezuela settles the small city of Bermuda, which Longoro has conveniently given a nice triangle of coast tiles. In other news, the Iroquois city of Shohari is looking very nice on the east coast of America, with an impressive 35 population. In fact, the whole of the East Coast is looking quite good, with a total of 77 population from just 3 cities. Oh no, matey. Unlike the pun in the title, I guess, this slide is no laughing matter. 2 of the mateys' strongest neighbors declare war on them, the Iroquois and the Hida. While we can't see the Hida force right now, if the Métis army is anything like it is on the Iroquois front, this could be a disastrous war for them. The Iroquois will likely have to march their army across the Great Lakes, which could give them a massive disadvantage. But with the lack of Métis range units on the land, it also may not be. Hashtag Bring Burnberry Back. Just like the city of the same name that was here before, Bunbury yet again falls to the Papuan Navy. Papua have also done what many AIs forget to do in many of their attacks, and have sent an overkill amount of melee units to Brisbane. Let's hope the strategy pays off for them. A competent Nanette attack? Oblate Khan must be regretting their declaration of war by now, as yet another one of their cities falls to the Nanettes of all civs. The fact that the Kazakhs only have 5 visible units on the screen may be the reason why, though. An empty battlefield. As I asked, we get a shot of the Haida side of this war, and it's not as I expected. The Haida land force is actually quite pitiful, most likely fighting their war with Korea. But luckily for them, the Métis force is even worse, and I reckon that the land units on this screen could maybe take the 3 icy cities directly north of them. Fingers crossed. Sulu sinking ships. Sulu fans will be happy they are doing so well in their current wars, even being able to flip Dar back from Maratha. Maratha have brought a sizable force to defend their Southeast Asian holdings, seeing as they are fairly far away from their homeland, but the Sulu Navy is full of their unique unit, which is enough to scare any civ. Parthian path to victory. Parthia, fresh off their capture of the Seljuk capital, turns their warmongering eyes to the less than scary Golden Horde. The Goths' invasion up north has been hard and grueling due to the terrain surrounding Saray Burke, but could employing a small naval task force prove fruitful for the Parthian warlords? Mithridates stares across the Caspian Sea with dreams of those lands being his. The Evil Witch. Now this is why the Spore is so useful, because somehow this war completely passed me by when I was watching the audio narration last week. Ah well, we check back up with the Qing making quite a lot of progress given that they're up against terrain-wise against Hong Kong. I can't help but feel like this is the part of a play where a wise woman comes in to tell the main character the fate of their empire, and it's never good. Can Qingxi reverse the curse set upon them? A mystery war. Did we miss this declaration of war? Because it very much looks like the Métis are at war with the Apache, and while they are doing very well against their Greenland holdings, the story on the mainland might be very different. A small border is still a border. Prussia is still attempting to attack Adirn through the 4-tile border they have, and they're still not succeeding. It doesn't look like Frederick is committing much to the war, but those few units dying on this front could make the world of a difference if Czechia, the HRE, Muscovy, or God forbid, the Sami declare war again. Tell me again that Hida's weak. Hida are back, and they're back with a vengeance. You don't just take one of Koya's cities and get away with it. With Ganju already into the yellow, I expect we'll see a few city captures in this theater of war in the next couple of parts. Oh man, it's gone. The Vikings started the razing of Frankfurt am Main last part, and early in this part, the job is finished. The Holy Roman Empire wasn't able to capture the city back to stop the savage Vikings from looting and burning down every building in sight. All they could do was look from afar and shed a tear that what they had built over the last 1,000 years was being burnt down by a foreign and angry people. We can go home. The Goth soldiers breathe a huge sigh of relief as they are sent home to their families from the brutal Golden Horde front. The hell isn't over for the Golden Horde though, as they may be out of one war, but another was only started only one turn ago. While the war was only started a turn ago, very little movement is seen from the Parthian side. Should I inform Mithridates that in order to capture a city, units have to move? Long Nepal. Long Nepal, that's it, that's the slide. Jokes aside, this area of the cylinder is absolutely packed and has been blessed with little to no wars in the last 100 or so turns. But trust me, as soon as one another declares war on each other, units are going to be dying left and right. That will be one bloody war. From where we started. We return to the starting slide of this part to note that Torapets has officially been burnt to a cinder. Another update is the slow Sami advance on Nizhny Novgorod with an impressive force of soldiers. Hida, Hida, Hida. Can you guys tell I'm a bit of a Hida fan yet? If not, let me inform you that they have just captured Ganju, reclaiming a stake in the Asian region. And it also looks like, with not too many units lost, enough to capture yet another city perhaps. Winnipeg when? The Iroquois units didn't have to cross the Great Lakes because Hiawatha, the smart military commander that he is, decided to consolidate forces outside of Winnipeg and go for a full frontal attack on the one city. This could really work. Not so Marathan might. Maratha has really been trying over here in a desperate attempt to gain a holding in the Middle East, but the number of melee units that Oman has to recapture their city is impressive for an AI, so Savaji is really up against it. To note on this slide as well is the two unfortunate declarations of war from India and Madagascar. Those Madagascan peace units are in the perfect position to do some damage. A new era. This notification not only tells that Montevideo is where your next holiday destination should almost definitely be, it also tells us that the majority of civilizations on the cylinder have emerged into the modern era, which is exciting. A new holiday destination and rockets just around the corner. Ah, it's a genocidal egomaniac's dream. Fleeing. The Maratha Navy is seen fleeing the waters outside of Rostock, pretty confident that they lost that one to the two new invaders. India looks to be picking up the scraps of the Maratha invasion, and with just 2 boats might do some notable damage to Oman. Landfall. India are actually able to capture Rastak. After Maratha did the majority of the damage, India swooped in afterwards to take the city, and if they were able to do that with just 2 ships, is Muscat still as safe as I assumed it was? That city's mine. Hida says as they sail directly into the island that Tlel is positioned on. With the city already damaged, it could potentially fall. What I find more interesting about this slide, though, is the fact that Skadans is so damaged with no Hida units nearby. Could it be that the Evenks are actually doing work? Deja vu. I swear I've seen this before. Just like Australia with Bunbury, the Holy Roman Empire resettles Frankfurt am Main in the exact same spot again, only for it to be assaulted even worse due to its low defense. Is fire just the natural fate of Frankfurt am Main? All quiet. Speaking of Bunbury, it seems pretty quiet on this front. Eerily quiet. With Bunbury captured back, Papua hasn't made much of a push any further, even though Newcastle would be fairly easy to take. One step backwards to a bigger step forwards. Yes, India may have lost Rastak to Oman, but have you seen that attack force around Muscat? That city is almost guaranteed to fall. I'll stake my Shrek 2 DVD on it. Wow. The only thing that can stop this now is if the AI thinks it'll be a great idea to peace out for nothing. Please don't disappoint me, Indira. A Métis in Enemy Lands. The name of the award-winning biography narrating the story of the 4-unit brigade that marched far into Haida territory with no backup. The Korea War has really hampered the Haida's potential attack on their mainland, and all it really serves for them is an annoyance as they attempt to keep Métis units from getting too close to any of their cities. Also to note that here we can see the Métis border with the Apache, in which a Métis unit can be seen in Apache borders, which either means they're great friends or massive rivals. Nothing in between. I feel Sval bad for them. The Holy Roman Empire decided that Svalbard was the perfect place for a city. Hell, I can't even deal with a single-digit Celsius, let alone what those guys are dealing with. And before central heating, Wittenberg has to be on one of those most unlivable places in the cylinder lists. A trick of the eye. When I first looked at this slide, I fully believed that Poverty Point had done that to an Iroquois before realizing that even with all the crazy things going on in the cylinder, that was just too much. In actuality, a single Métis boat has sacrificed half its health in order to mildly damage the city. Now that's more believable. The fate of Frankfurt. It truly is the fate of this city, and with only one population, the Holy Roman Empire only has one turn to capture the city back before it's dead and gone again. Sakomu on that. Shikoku settles directly on the Papuan home island as if they could more explicitly ask for a war. It does kind of annoy me that Papua hasn't settled their own island. Perhaps Shikoku was teaching them a lesson, as that's exactly what they did. Capital capture. We have a capital city capture on a part I'm narrating, so that's really cool. Anyway, like I said, the Indian attack force was guaranteed to work, and I get to keep my Shrek 2 DVD, so you can all suck it. On that note as well, Rastak looks almost confirmed to fall once again. I'm willing to bet my Shrek 3 DVD on it. Prepare your Fs for Oman, maybe? Reverse. On this slide, the Prussian invasion is going even worse, with them letting a Turkish pikeman into their borders. Don't call it a comeback. Oman's been here for years, and apparently they aren't leaving anytime soon. While the city looks to fall once again, Oman really does not want to go out without a fight, and good on the little fellas. Island invasion. One area where this war is going exceptionally well for the Iroquois is the naval attack of the Métis city of Willow Bunch. Funnily enough, when they make landfall, they are surrounded by a bunch of oak trees. Weird. Kolomna you, Sammies. Excuse the terrible pun, which probably won't make any sense when read aloud in the audio narration. You're right, I have no idea what that means. The Semi are doing handsomely in their war against Muscovy. I just really hope they don't burn down this city, because a nice buffer zone between them and the Goths would be very strategically needed. Double kill. Like I predicted, Oman's capital and Rastak fall again. But I want to change my prediction. Those Omani units look strong, and I don't reckon that Oman will be eliminated until at least next part at the minimum. Let's see if I'm wrong. I haven't read ahead, so I'm excited. Lesson learnt. Korea was able to recapture Ganju, and to teach them a lesson, Hida captures it back and burns it down in front of them. Savage. Scout Con 1940. Does this count as a Scout Con? I guess attendance has been dwindling, seeing as they seem to have been hosted in the middle of the ocean the last few times. I see 3 scouts here: Iroquois, Kwikuro, and Hida. Turning tides. Since the last time we saw this front, a lot has changed, most notably the fact that Winnipeg is in the yellow. Also to note that while the Iroquois are successfully attacking Winnipeg, they're also successfully attacking Wood Mountain. Cool name. They are crossing water, but knowing them, that won't affect them too much. Frankfurt's savior. At this point, I can't tell if the Holy Roman Empire recaptured Frankfurt on Main, or the last one was burnt down and they settled it again. Whatever it is, some kind of angel is looking down on the Holy Roman Empire. 5-star sea. The Moors rate the Atlantic Ocean 5 stars as they send 5 great generals for a swim in the vast sea. Is this how great admirals are made? Slightly off-center. While the pick isn't focusing on what we all want to see, we can still see that Winnipeg is now into the red, although that Métis Navy near Prince Albert could turn the tides of the war. Ribe Barbs. The Vikings are unhappy. Perhaps it's because they're boxed in by Scandinavia and their only way out keeps on resettling the same city. Jokes aside, while the barbarian is close to dead, the barbarian is more indicative of a bigger happiness problem, not only in the Viking Empire, but in the cylinder. An Oki victory. Surprisingly, this is the first city capture of this war, although fingers crossed that isn't the case for long. A few Métis ships sail near the once Métis city, hoping that the Iroquois are merciful in victory. The beautiful tip. Damn, I really love the Zimbabwe color scheme. Anyway, here we have a shot of the sleeping giant that is Zimbabwe, which for a sleeping giant is showing very little military units. Hopefully they have good production for when they get into war. You win some. The Iroquois settler that eagle-eyed viewers would have spotted a few slides ago was able to settle a city which was captured by the sleeping Métis Navy. Although, while this does count as a victory, all it served to do is waste an Iroquois settler as they set the city ablaze. Caribbean chaos. In the absence of an island civ that actually expands, Uruguay has had to fill in some of the gaps that Haiti has left, forming a nice island chain of cities. The remains of Ganju. The remains of Ganju are visible here as a Yupik pikeman stares at them. It also looks like the Hida invasion has massively fizzled out, and while Hida still has units on the left of the slide, it will take a few turns to get to Korea, and they started the war with much more and weren't successful. Creative Color Schemes 3, the trilogy that wasn't needed. Benin, Nubia, and Beta Israel sitting in a tree. Even though some of them are at war, they're still best friends deep down. Slowly but surely. Another progress shot of Sami breaking down the Muscovite walls. The city is likely to fall, it's just a question of when and if they burn it down like so many of the civs around the world have been doing recently. Please, Yadni, be unique. All quiet on the Eastern Front. Yeah, not much to say here apart from the fact that the Métis and Haida are just throwing units at each other here that could really be used for better things in both of their cases. A freak phenomenon. I'm not up to date on what each civ's unique ability is, so can someone explain to me why every Sami city is just slightly damaged? My current headcanon is one man traveled to every Sami city and just burnt down one building in each. Disaster strikes. Why, Eadni, why? Eadni goes against everyone's better judgment and burns down the city of Kolomna. And that's it. They do look like they'll do well against Nizhny Novgorod, so fingers crossed no one got a torch there. Long Nepal 2. Although we can't see the beauty that is Long Nepal in its full glory, what we can see here is the citadel capital of India, which is the highest of insults to any civ. Yeah, wait till you see Poverty Point. I'm sorry, I have a reservation. Not for long now, as the city of Rezev is the next city to fall victim to Eadni's long arm of the law. Also, to the left of the slide, we can see the gap left by Kolomna. Can we have a moment of silence, please? Ocean living. We take a look at the South Atlantic Ocean where Zimbabwe and Songhai currently inhabit. Las Vingo looks particularly nice this time of year. A Ndongo settler heads across the waves in hopes of settling up the new hip tourist destination. A pikeman and his boat. A chillingly beautiful story of how one pikeman and his boat sailed all the way to the Parthian city of Rages just to show them the meaning of peace. Ending's a bit weird though, they end up dead. Don't know what the moral is there. Isn't there something to do with a tiger too? Just fall already. Yeah, I agree, title. Please just fall. The siege of Winnipeg has been going on this whole part. A total of 17 turns, and I'm pretty sure it's been on red the majority of that time. Just slip a nice little melee unit in there, Hiawatha, and everything will be alright in the world. Scorched Earth Policy. I think Sami is misunderstanding the Scorched Earth policy. It's meant to be for when you're retreating. Sami captures the city of Rezev, but yet again burns it to the ground. I hope they have some settlers in their core for when this war is over. I'm actually so people have been making comments like, oh, why is everybody burning things down? One, the world is on fire. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Yes, that's the Joker. Yes, it's edgy and so cool. Second, I'm really glad that happiness is actually playing a role because in a lot of these games, happiness is meaningless. So to have something where people are contending for areas and there's barbarians and things that will affect their happiness is a good thing. It makes it more interesting in my opinion. Alone in a foreign land. The Sulu declare war on Tonga, and the unfortunate first victim of that war is this spearman, just trying to visit his mate who lives in the Sulu capital, who is now being absolutely pelted from every side. Rest in peace to that spearman. A dead war. It's also good to note that Parthia is very much still at war with the Seljuks, and while they look to be making progress against the Golden Horde, the Seljuks are definitely going to be a thorn in their side. A war in the Gulf. With Muscat and Rastak fairly secure in Indira's hands, she turns her head towards the very last Oman city, but in order to take that, must battle in the Gulf of Aden, a difficult position for an attacker, and an extremely easy one for the defender. Two worlds collide. Although New Zealand and Nazca are fairly close together, it's always weird to me seeing a New Zealand city near the Nazca core. Anyway, about the Nazca core, it's better than some I've seen. It's also worse than some others, more specifically Uruguay's, who they share a border with. I'd be worried. Also something Powerman 5000. Voluptuous Venezuela. Those colors with those units, cities, and that canal city? Could you give me a more perfect slide? Venezuela's looking pretty good. They really came back since Haiti messed them up earlier in the parts. But Venezuela, they could put up a front against Uruguay. Graveyard. Here's an area we haven't heard from in a while, the Graveland of Minos. Knossos, their former capital, is looking pretty nice population-wise and is a hidden gem in the Turkish Empire. A twist of fate. Now that goes against all I said in that slide, doesn't it? Maybe Benin stole Nubia's Cocoa Pops, which is just not on. Anyway, they declare war and instantly get the city of Ele-Ife to yellow with a melee unit right next to it. The Gulf of Pandan. The Gulf of Aden proves such a struggle for India that they fall back to Rastak, letting Oman capture it back again. Also, yes, I know that's one too many bad puns, but you'll just have to forgive me. Graveyard 2. Another look at a graveyard as we look at where Scotland used to live. I miss you, Brucey. Well, maybe he does. I don't. Scotland, you were long for this world, but the Manx rule supreme. Yeah, Vikings, you're going down next. Manx is doing it. Anyway, here's Uruguay. Just like the last part, we end on a shot of Uruguay, and I steal last part titles as well. Creepily, I was actually listening to an Oasis song once I got to this point. Uruguay is scary, I'll give them that, but their war against the Kwikuro has been painful to watch. They have to put that production to use. The Kwikuro are really turtling hard, and it's been amazing to see their valiant defense, but in order to stop Uruguay from just kind of taking over, more people have to put a stop to them. We need to have a coalition, similar to the Orange Containment Plan, but this time it's blue, yellow, and cursed. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this part and will be able to endure a shameless bit of self-promotion at the end. I currently run a similar 61 Civ Earth AI game over on r/Civ AI Games, where the catch is there are no civs in the new world, so it's all up for grabs. We're currently on part 19, and I'd love if you gave yourself a look. Just look out for AI Earth Colonization, and I'll put a link in the description below. I've been user Nightman, and I hope you've enjoyed this part of the CBRX. And my name is Dawkinzz. Thanks for joining me this week yet again. Please like and subscribe, comment below if there's anything that I mispronounced. I do it all the time, I'm sorry. Just comment on how I can do it better next time, and I'll try to remember when I do the recordings for episode 18. But until then, we'll see you next time.